The Council on Foreign Relations was established after the Treaty of Versailles in Paris and the peace accords after World War I. The Council on Foreign Relations in New York City was established in 1921 in a property where it stands today on 58th Street, donated by Herbert Pratt. Although the Pratt family donated the physical structure, the Rockefeller apparatus controls the council, to this day, controls the Council on Foreign Relations and the State Department of the United States government pretty much ever since. This steady dissolution towards communism, socialism, and eco-fascism, aligned with their intent on controlling all aspects of human life, we find ourselves in the midst of the New World Order. So the Council on Foreign Relations reveals now that world government can be achieved in 2013 if certain goals can be attained. 1. The world needs to establish shared responsibility for the most intractable problems of our post-unipolar world. Therefore, for world government to become a reality, China needs to play a greater role as a global power. Let's hope that doesn't happen in any way, shape, or form. To implement world government, it is essential to strengthen organizations like the United Nations, World Trade Organization, International Monetary Fund, and the G20. Now, the International Monetary Fund owns the IRS. This is where the money comes from, and the debts of the people are really just, the taxes are really just tributes to these kings, these illuminists that are so cunning in their deception of humanity. Okay, number 3, major powers need to begin engaging less prominent countries so that both major and minor players in the global political landscape can further the networked governance principle. Essentially, the key to world government in 2013 is for all countries to enter into a mindset and functioning mechanism. Interesting, right? Number 4, globally, trade needs to be more regulated. Well, that's what they keep trying to do. It's coming. I mean, to 13, 14, who knows? But when they get it all in place, all hell's going to break loose, ladies and gentlemen. And that's literally, figuratively, and actually. So globally, trade needs to be regulated. In 2013, government subsidies should be tackled at the global level as opposed to regional or bilateral level. Number 5, the world needs to begin harnessing regional efforts into common action on a global level. Discouraged by the stalemate of global governance building, many countries and regions are now turning to regional and sub-regional integration, which is what Larry P. McDonald mentioned, what would actually be happening as the world government evolved in this incredible clip that I keep playing over.
Newsweek says this. The John Birch Society considers communism only one arm of a master conspiracy in which socialist American insiders are plotting to establish world government. Now, it also says, and here's Director John McManus, that's your public relations director, saying that former Secretary of State Alexander Haig and CIA Director William Casey are 2 of these master conspirators who are plotting to establish world government. Now, what do you say? That kind of silly, asinine statement is what makes people laugh at the John Birch Society.
Well, Tom, I'm sure being a long-standing member of the Rockefeller apparatus, and as a member of the Council on Foreign Relations of longstanding, you're fully aware that there is an elitist core in this country that has seen value in subsidizing communism or protecting communism.
It has?
Sure.
You're accusing me of subsidizing communism?
No, I'm saying
because
that
I happen to belong to
there is an elite core.
Study group?
No, wait a minute. There is an elite core in this country that has dominated American society.
Well, I'm not one of them.
I mean, Trilateral Commission, the Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations.
State Department, I suppose?
Well, let's face it, they've dominated the State Department for 40 years, and pretty much openly
All right,
so.
but what are they trying to do?
Well, their objective is to try to bring about a gradual transition in our society, a dissolving of sovereignty, and a moving steadily to the left on the political spectrum.
Well, who are they?
The elitist groups that I mentioned, particularly key individuals and policymakers in the
Is
Council
the
on Foreign
International
Relations.
Monetary Fund part of this?
Well, I would say the International Monetary Fund has certainly been set up for the purpose of facilitating that transfer of sovereignty and transfer of wealth on the road.
All right, we
to
elected
something.
Mr. Conservative.
Let me just finish the point, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of unanswered questions. That you are looking at a group that has worked to bring about a dissolution of national sovereignties on the road to world government. And certainly you're familiar with local professor Carroll Quigley, who has been part of your club, in which he admitted all this. And he said in his book, Tragedy and Hope, the only thing I disagree is that we've worked to keep it a secret. And you see Arthur Schlesinger Jr. writing way back in 1947, says, yes, this is the hidden policy of America. But we can't tell the American public because they're too unsophisticated to see the value.
What is the instrumentality of world government? What is the
Of all the
instrumentality through
things
which...
to say about Arthur Schlesinger, that's the silliest statement I ever heard. He never made anything like
Well,
that.
let me suggest that you read the May-June issue of the Partisan Review of 1947, Tom, and you can read it for yourself. It's called
Arthur
the Schlesinger
Schlesinger said there was a
Manifesto.
conspiracy,
Oh.
a conspiracy
Oh,
to
he didn't
promote
use
communism.
the word. Oh, no, he didn't use the word conspiracy.
I
He
think
said the
Tom-
objective
Oh,
is
what
to
kind of
bring about.
nonsense is
Well,
this?
let me finish. I'll tell you. He said that the objective, the secret policy, which we can't tell the American public because they're not sophisticated enough to see the value, is that through a steady result of erosion of new deals, we bring the American society steadily to the left, and through a sound concept of benign containment, we merge into the vital center of the socialist left. Those are his words, not mine.
I think
What-
John
let me
Kennedy
ask
was a
you-
member of that conspiracy.
No, let me ask you this. The World Federalist Movement in the post-war era contained a lot of people who eventually broke with it, and a lot of people thought the UN in the post-war era looked toward world government. Indeed they did, up until 48, 49. But a lot of them said, look, we were utopian, that's over and done with. We can't move, and a lot of them came in Kennedy's government. Schlesinger was in there when they were fighting in Vietnam, launched the effort in Vietnam. Schlesinger was behind the Bay of Pigs. In other words, look, isn't there some move that occurred in the post-war era that now has been dissipated because nobody believes in the utopian ideal of world government anymore?
Well, I think there are those that realize that moving straight from a prototype of the United Nations into world government perhaps is tactically impossible. But phasing out increasingly national sovereignty into regional government and phasing out sovereignties into international treaties in multiple areas could be a route.
The whole movement toward, quote, interdependence.
Yeah.
NATO is part of the conspiracy.
Well, there are certainly elements in NATO. There are people in NATO who are very strongly dedicated to the defense of the West. But at the same time, you find in NATO a steady dissolution. You find a growing weakness as a NATO policy dominated by State Department policies that has not worked.
Well, it's a regional grouping, and I think therefore it may be suspect by the John Birch Society.
We're talking with Congressman Larry McDonnell, who has recently been elevated, I guess, to chairmanship of the John Birch Society, succeeding Robert Welsh.
Now, if such a trend cannot be reversed in a timely fashion, then there will be no world government in its real sense. Number 6, the internet needs to be more regulated. This is dangerous. This is what we have to fight against, and they shall not take away our rights to free speech. The internet needs to be more regulated. It is believed that government should start maintaining the free flow of information. Here we go, right into this totalitarian, one world, socialist government. Should start maintaining the free flow of information on the internet to limit the amount of cyber aggression. Oh, yes. And the deterioration of the political landscape in the Middle East, this is number 7, has challenged the principles of world government. Also, the inability of the international community to cope with the region's challenges threaten to also undermine the establishment of a world government. These blueprints, published by the Council on Foreign Relations for the establishment of world government, come at a time when the world's political leaders are beginning to warm to the idea of world government. I mean, warm to the idea. Oh my God. How can you say that? Clinton, Bush, Obama. They're all globalists, and they're minions, and I mean, it's unbelievable, but true. And socialists, progressives, call them what you want to call them, communists. They're authoritarian, nanny state, Bloomberg. It's just ridiculous. I'm glad that judge overturned Bloomberg's tyranny. I mean, that really is tyranny, even on a simple level. Wake up, everybody. Tyranny is telling somebody that you can't have more than this amount of soda. This is what our forefathers died for. Our grandfathers died for, and our fathers died for. In these Hegelian wars for corporate and political gain of a few small dominant men who control everything, as Woodrow Wilson admitted in 1913 in his book, New Freedom. This is all real. Now we understand it. They can't hide it anymore. That's why they want to limit the internet. We must spread this information, wake everybody up, and make real change. Change that we can believe in, change that is real. Like Robbie Wells. Now, recently, the president of the European Council revealed a desire for the European Union and Russia to contribute to the development of world government. Herman Van Rompuy was quoted in the 30th EU-Russia summit as saying, "By working together, the EU and Russia can make a decisive contribution to global governance and regional conflict resolution, to global economic governance in the G8 and the G20, which is where all this police state actions against the people that are protesting against this because they're awake, and they look to the radicals, the quote-unquote radicals, the radicals. Wake up, everybody. They're the ones that know what's going on. They realize what's happening. Look at G20. Look what happened in Pittsburgh. Look at what in our country, free country. You are in violation. This is an illegal action. It's bullshit. It's a free country. But they don't want to keep it that way. And we have to fight to keep it that way, or they'll take it. They'll take everything. They'll take your house. They'll take everything. Might not be this generation, but this is the intent. To get rid of all the property rights and everything being controlled by the state. And you'll earn privileges to do certain things. Look at the history of the world and the history of communism in the last 60 years. It did not die when the Berlin Wall fell. It's the biggest lie. It's just like the KKK. Why haven't you heard about them in the media lately? What did they just disappear? If you believe that, you're just as much a fool. Wake up to the New World Order. These criminals have a push for world government. And institutions like the Council on Foreign Relations, the European Union, and the Vatican are worrying signs that what the world has feared for many years might come to fruition in 2013. After all, we have a new pope coming. I have a sensation that it's going to be this guy from Africa, from Ghana, a black pope. Wouldn't that just be perfect? Well, I guess we've come to the end of the time we have today. Thank you for watching Truth Talk News. I'm Howard Nima.